Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. As always, thank you for joining me. If you could, hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell out beside it. That way you don't miss anything from here at the Big Ranch Show. Now, there's a story I've been holding off on covering because haven't been sure what's going on. But the more and more video footage comes out, it seems to show that a place of business is trying to cover up some of their actions. And of course, I'm referring to the FaZe Banks and Alissa Violet situation involving the Barley house in Cleveland, Ohio. Over the holiday weekend, last weekend, FaZe Banks and his girlfriend Alissa Violet and her family went to a place called the Barley House in Cleveland, trying to have a good time. And by all accounts, they were having a great time up until the end of the day, when Alissa Violet, one of her friends who works for the company that owns Barley House and works at their restaurant across, apparently another restaurant there in Cleveland, and she was the one that helped get them into the club to begin with, went down to use the bathroom in a employee only section of the restaurant. The thing is, they had already been approved to be down there, even though it was employee only. They had already been approved by the management at one point to go down there, and they were fine. And then when they went later, apparently somebody didn't bother to tell the other bouncer that they were allowed down there, and apparently that's kind of when all hell broke loose. According to FaZe Banks, he was drug out of the out from the area by the restrooms by his neck by one of the bouncers, and he was then subsequently handed off to a bouncer who actually was, at least remaining calm. But the problem is the fact, of course, there was all the stuff that went down, but the fact that the Barley House is kind of covering it up, claiming they're going to release the footage from the security cameras, but all they did was release little snippets to Channel 19 News in Cleveland, and another channel, Channel 3, apparently has been covering it basically the same exact way, saying that it's all FaZe Banks and all Alissa Violet's fault. Now, how is it their fault? How can you show it's their fault when you won't release all the footage? You're cherry picking. You're cherry picking the footage. So you're really showing yourself in a bad light, Barley House, that you're only showing a few clips. You're not showing all of it. And as has been pointed out, before FaZe Banks hit the guy that put his hands on his girlfriend, which any man would defend his girlfriend or wife if some man put his hands on him. I mean, I'm not a very violent person, and I may be stuck in a damn wheelchair, but I guarantee you touch my wife, I'm running you over. Because you don't put your hands on somebody's girlfriend. You just don't. I don't care if you're just touching them. I don't care if you want to grab their ass. I don't care if you're trying to slap their phone out of their hands. I don't care. If you put your hands on another man's girlfriend, he's going to beat your ass. That is how it works. Maybe it's a little Neanderthal thing, I don't know, but that's just how it is. If you're going to place your hands on another man's girlfriend or wife, he is probably going to beat your ass. That has not changed in forever, and it's probably never going to change. It's a protection mechanism that guys just tend to have about their girlfriends. So Alissa Violet ends up with a busted lip and a black eye, and all the news media can do is focus on the fact that FaZe Banks punched a guy for touching his girlfriend, and that Alissa Violet was supposedly being violent when other footage has recently come out showing that she wasn't being violent, that she was basically just being calm and just walked out of the restaurant even though her boyfriend was being had been drugged, partly out of the restaurant. And then FaZe Banks brings up another valid point. He was there with his girlfriend and her family, who he had not met before. Why would a guy out of nowhere just be violent for no reason? Does it make a lot of sense for somebody to just be violent out of nowhere when they're sitting there with their girlfriend and her family? No. And why would a guy who had been doing great all night, had only had a few drinks, because he was there again, not wanting to offend his girlfriend's family, why would he just all of a sudden lose it at the end of the night when he was on his way home? That doesn't make any dang sense, people. But it's also come out based on some reporting from Keemstar that the Barley House is one of the sponsors for the Channel 19 news channel there, and it does appear that initial report from them was really just a hit piece on FaZe Banks and Alissa Violet. Just they're trying to save their business after they clearly mishandled the situation. And instead of fessing up to it and saying, hey, yeah, we screwed up, and I'm sure the whole situation would have died down if day one they'd been like, yeah, we're sorry, we handled the situation wrong. There would have been no people calling for a protest outside the Barley House. There'd nobody calling for a boycott of the Barley House or anything like that. But instead, the Barley House decides to go a route to hide their wrongdoing and try and lay it all on Alissa Violet and FaZe Banks. And it's not all on them. They were told they were allowed to be in that area of the restaurant, so for the restroom. They were with an employee of the company, who there again had already called when they thought there was a problem before. Called the management. Management told the bouncer early on in the night that yes, Alissa Violet and FaZe Banks were allowed down there in this little employee only section. And apparently that never got passed on to the next one. There was not a chance for them to recall, to call back the management and be like, hey, we're having the problem again. So suggestion to businesses out there, if you tell one set of bouncers, hey, this guy's cool, let them be where they are. You need to tell the rest of your crew what's going on. That's all I got on the story, though. If I have any more updates, I'll let you know. Have a great day.